So who am I? I'm the dopey who got played. That's who I'm always the last guy to figure out what's going on. I'm the one who's been hurt. The fellow who's been screwed over big time. Folks love to preach about forgiveness, how it cleanses. All that nasty hate out of your system. How it hands you some PCE to tie things up. They claim it's the key to starting. Fresh me, I ain't feeling that vibe right now. Not even close lately. I've been peeling back the layers on who. I really am. Take this for instance, I ain't no mushroom sitting pretty in the dirt turns out. I can't stand being shoveled a bunch of bull or left clueless in the shadows. None of that touchy fake corporate nonsense either. You know that la, let's all play nice and get along garbage total. Hogwash. I'm done with that crap. Finish zilch. Nada. No way, Jose, and don't expect me to just grin and barra it either. I'm dead sure. There's no moving past this mess back in the day. I'd shrug stuff off like it was, nothing smooth as water sliding off a duck. But after this wild roller coaster, I'm carving out my chunk of revenge. First forgiveness might come after. Maybe don't go rushing to Vegas, betting your paycheck on that. Though I'm not exactly the predictable type. Now people toss around move. On like, it's a breeze but untangling yourself from your entire life. That's a whole different beast. Let me tell you, how do you even dial down the pain you're drowning in from my spot? On the couch that feels like some kind of magic trick I ain't mastered. Yet I stand at 5'8", in packing more than a couple extra pounds around the middle skinny's never been my thing. Never will be sports, not my scene either. I wasn't cut out for running around a field. I've got these wide shoulders and a chest like a barrel. Though with this frame, I could have crushed it as a centre linebackers mashing heads and taking names. But like I said, that wasn't me, and I never had. The itch to try on the outside. I've always been a little doughy. A bit soft around the edges. Ladies don't exactly trip over themselves when I walk by. If I'm lucky, one might call me cute in a pinch. Spoiler alert. I ain't cute, not by a long shot. But dig a little deeper, and there's nothing soft about what's inside. I've got this hardcore stash of grit, stamina, and raw power that keeps me going. When everyone else would have thrown in the towel, that's my secret weapon. My superpower. I don't back down, and I sure as hell don't quit. Let's talk about what lights a fire under me. Justice, plain and simple in my book. I'm do something for everything that got ripped away from me. I had it all, 1 minute. Bam, gone the next. And now that jerk's sitting pretty with it. That's theft. No two ways about it. Oh, and here's a fun fact. Losing ain't my thing, not even a little. Let me put I'd another way if I care even a smidge about something. Defeat twists my guts. Like nothing else. I'm talking pure red hot hatred for coming up short over the years. I've learned there ain't many lines I won't step over to keep from losing what matters to me. Did I mention I despise losing? Yeah, it's that bad. So I'm after some classic no frills justice. I'd love to go full on biblical on that punk's backside. Think fire and brimstone Old Testament style, after the colossal stab in the back, from his so-called darling wife. That doesn't strike me as an overreaction. I'm totally fine watching bridges go up in flames. At this point, that said, I've got some limits, like I'd rather not end up behind bars jails. Not exactly my dream vacation spot, but if push comes to shove in this mess, yeah, I'd stomach a stretch. Maybe a year or two tops. I didn't kick this whole thing off. But you better believe I'm finishing it, which drags me back to that clown. I can't stop thinking about, if I'm honest, he's not even worth the dirt under my boots, let alone my time or cash. Yet here I am shelling out both because he's got me hooked center stage in my crosshairs. He's basically my whole damn checklist right now. You can probably tell I'm invested in this one big time. He wasn't my buddy, my business partner, or my lover. Never fed me a liar, broke a promise to my face, but her. That's a different story. Tick-tock, tick-tock. I hollered loud enough to rattle the locked door in its frame. Then I flicked a match and set fire to the gas-drenched rag I jammed underneath. Come on out wherever you're hiding, I shouted, giving the door a good yell. Smoke started pouring out thick and fast, so I backed off a step on my side. That thing was blazing like a champ from the other side. I caught the sound of screams scutting through the chaos. Glass smashed somewhere in there. Maybe they're thinking they'll knot up the bed sheets like some prison escape movie and climb down. Good luck with that. 3 stories is a hell of a drop for a makeshift rope. I snorted. To myself, she'd never have the guts for it anyway, grabbing a fire extinguisher. I blasted the flames on my side till they fizzled out. What's happening over there? No clue, and I didn't much care. I'm coming for you, you two timing snake. I bellowed loud and clear. Pretty sure they got the message. Her wailing kicked up a notch, right after I gave the smoking door a solid kick, busting it wide open, and a wall of fire lunged at me from inside. I snatched another extinguisher and sprayed it back, then hauled a third one in to kill the rest of the blaze. Takinga, look around. The room wasn't trash. Too bad, just charred around the edges. I'd say the bed was a disaster. Sheets ripped off their clothes, tossed all over like a tornado. It ain't that adorable. They've been sipping champagne too. I snagged the bottle off the nightstand and chugged a big gulp. Hot. Damn, we're living the high life now. I laughed. Sure enough, they tied a sheet to the bed leg. It was dangling out the busted window like a sad little lifeline. I strolled over to the window and peeked out real careful. Well, Albesha, scared stiff of heights, put her on a tall bridge, and she'd soak her pants faster than you can blink. It's a full-on phobia with her. Too bad, so sad. And yet there they were, buck naked on a ledge, looking like a couple of fools. She was plastered to the wall, arms and legs splout like a panicked starfish, while the sheets flapped uselessly in the breeze. Just beyond their grasp, she was shrieking her head off, loud enough to wake the dead. He didn't look much better, face, pale, eyes wild. They were perched on this fancy little ledge, maybe 5 or 6 feet long, 2 floors up from the driveway with no way down. Right about then the news chopper swooped in overhead. See, a little planning goes a long way. I tipped off Channel 12, the local Fox station. They're old school about news if it's bloody or dramatis. It's front page gold. I'd given the AC one a fire tearing through a rickety old mansion turn, B&B, the kind that's always booked solid months out. Weirdest thing though, the TV in the room was already tuned to Channel 12. So there I stood, in a smoky, half-toasted room, watching my crazy wife scramble to cover herself from the chopper spotlight. She was teetering on that skinny 4.5 in ledge, getting battered by the helicopter's wind. Got to say, it was some damn good entertainment. At least for me. The fire trucks were rolling up now, sirens blaring. Time for me to hightail it out of there, while the firefighters were busy eyeballing my wife and her side piece. I swiped his pants off the floor, dug out his car, key fob and wallet crammed in my pockets, and slipped out the door. I took the back stairs, creaking down that ancient stairwell, nice and slow. All I could hear was my boots stumping every other step, while pure madness was exploding just a few yards away. Felt kind of surreal, to be honest. I hit the bottom of those creaky stairs and made a beeline for the kitchen door. Once I stepped outside into the cool night air, I whipped out my phone and dialed up her folks. Hey, I tracked her down. She's at the old Miller bed and breakfast. Looks like she's about to take a leap flip on Channel 12 and see for yourself. I cut the call short before Harold Mann could get a word in edgewise. From where I stood, I watched a big hook and ladder truck rumble up and start swinging into place. 3 more choppers buzzed overhead, jockeying for the perfect shot. Everyone wanted a piece of the circus for the evening news. I fished her lover's cab out of my pocket and mashed the button a few times. That fancy Mercedes lit up with a chirp and a flash high-end stuff. I slid behind the wheel and peeled out. Man, this thing rides like a dream, I muttered to myself. I cruised back to my place and tucked that sweet machine safe in my garage, popped the glove box open to poke around. Nothing worth a damn in there, just some old receipts and a stick of gum. But when I checked the trunk, jackpot, his work laptop was sitting there, complete with a little notebook full of passwords. Guy was stuck in the Stone Age. I swear, I hauled the laptop into my office and fired it up, digging through whatever I could get my hands on. His emails were a goldmine, shady as hell. I'm no expert, but it smelled like he wasn't playing straight. I ain't no number-crunching accountant, mind you, but it sure looked like he was juggling 2 different sets of books for his company. Couldn't make sense of all the details myself, so I just bundled up the files and shot off to the IRS and his company's big wigs, let them sort it out. Then I stumbled on the real treasure Chris photos of my wife plus some selfies he'd snapped while they were tangled up together. I fired those off in a text blast to her PDA crew, our church bishop, and those as nudie pals of hers. from the country club didn't stop there. Either sent M to her, sister her mum, and dad even her ancient grandma, that old lady's pushing 5, and her granddad who kicked the bucket a couple years back was one of those fire and brimstone preachers from way back. I couldn't help but wonder how she'd handle seeing her precious granddaughter starring in some X-rated home movies. Now some might wonder why I'd air my own dirty laundry like that, painting myself as the chumped husband thing. Is I ain't nuts. The TV already splashed my humiliation all over town. Oh, and get this. His laptop had all his credit cards saved. Right there, I've always wanted to splurge on a handful of those slick adult accounts, maybe 30 or so, why not? Anyway, it had been one hell of a day, and I was beat that adrenaline high I'd been riding pretty sure it crashed and burned. An hour or two back, I locked up the house tight and dragged myself to bed. I'd swapped out the locks earlier, so I figured I could snooze without her storming in on me. She'd be pissed as all. Get out, no doubt, knowing her she'd probably want my head on. A platter I drifted off with a smirk P.L. Eden, my face feeling pretty damn satisfied. Turns out I called it around 2 A. Araket at the front door jolted me awake. I was grumpy as hell. I need my solid 8 hours. Or I turn into a real bear, shoved some earbuds in and cranked up some mellow jazz to drown out the banging. And the doorbell worked like a charm couldn't hear. A thing tried to catch some more Z's, but next thing I know, a pack of ticked-off cops are yanking me out of bed. Yep, they slapped the cuffs on me. I've got the ace lawyer though. Steve's his name, Hune's been in my corner forever since way back in our college. Days, man. He was a wild one then. We tore it up partying more nights than I can count. Later, we settled down and raised our kids side by side. I trusted he'd handle this mess for me. After a stint in general population, they finally hauled me up to the interrogation. Room Steve was already there, waiting. Jez, Hank, you've got to figure out how to drop this, he said, shaking his head. Bull Steve. She's stepping out on me. I'm her husband, damn. She's my wife. I shot back her rising in my chest. I said, was Hank. She was your wife not anymore. Hasn't been for over 5 years. I opened my mouth to argue, but he just threw up a hand. Toast stopped me. Listen, Hank, you're divorced. She's not yours anymore. You've got Tolet. This go, man. This fixation of yours is messed up. They're going to bury you with charges on this one, for crying out loud. It was her damn wedding night. He shoved his chair back and stood up. I'm done here, Hank. I'm out. You're on your own. Don't bother calling. As he headed for the door, he turned back one last time. You need help. Man, I mean, it gets some serious professional help. That whole mess went down nearly 5 years back after half a decade, locked up sometimes, cooling my heels in solitary, picking up the odd bruise or two. I can tell you, straight prison sucks. It's been a rough haul. Right now, I'm lying on my bunk staring at the ceiling, too wired to sleep. Tomorrow's my first crack at parole, and it's got my nerves jangling. The grub here is pure garbage. I ain't joking about that either. You run into some characters, sure, but it's no high school reunion. One perk, I guess, is the medical care's a step up from what I had outside. Never saw a shrink back then. But here I've got one. He runs a few groups, including this one he nicknamed the Fasterisk Ed Up Men Crew. It's not official or anything, but it fits every guy in. There's got some serious screws loose, me included. There's Grit, this hulking dude with a mean streak. They call him a father. ER. And believe me, you don't want to cross him. Then there's Slug, a weird one. He's all about soaking up pain. Even landed himself in here on purpose. That's messed up enough to earn him a spot in the club. No question, me. I click best with Roy. He's got this thing against divorce. Says it's a sin or some holy rule he's all about till death do us part. And he's racked up 4 wives to prove it. So yeah, I've got my little support squad. I'm trying to get my head straight, setting some goals. Got to keep focused. You know, the docs say I'm doing all right. Keeping my nose clean tomorrow. I'll tell the parole board whatever they want to hear. Play it smart, stick it out, and sometimes things fall into place. My hearing's first thing in the morning.